We can get the tank and the barrels. All in one. There we go. That should give you a good view. It's stuck some tall because my head height will always be above the camera if I want to point the camera at the tanks. But that's why I'm going to get multiple cameras and get OBS going. So I'm going to make this better, this live streaming thing better. I've been researching uh, what the software can do and that sort of thing. So I will get around to it, but you know, cameras aren't high on my list right now. They should be, but my priority is to fish. I've still got pretty good size school to, or sorry, shoal to build. You can see this tank's pretty densely filled with discus, and downstairs tanks will be too. Uh, as I've mentioned before, but I'll repeat myself for those who may be watching later or haven't watched before. Um, the reason I have so many discus is because I intend to breed, and I don't just want one breeding pair. I want like 10 or down the road, you know. But in order to get a breeding pair, statistically speaking, um, it works out to be for every 10 discus you own, you'll likely get one pair. And then they don't even guarantee that. So right now I have 2 egg-laying females. Um, one of them has selected a solid mate. The other one seems to switch mates and just eat her eggs. So my fish are too young. They're not there yet. But my oldest 3 fish are approaching the 15-month mark. I think by fall, all 3 of them will have crossed that line, and that those 3 are big red. Here, let's go over and have a closer look. Uh, those 3 are big red. He's my oldest discus in this entire tank. Okay. Now I bought him early on, and I I probably didn't know how to look after my water properly, and I probably stunted him a little bit because his eyeball's kind of big, but it's not like I ruined the fish big, because as long as you can fit vertically 4 eyeballs, they say, at least 4. So you count from top to bottom, 1, 2, hit the one in the middle where he is 3, and I still got room for probably 2 more underneath. So he's not a ruined discus. If you can't fit 4 eyeballs vertically, like for example, if we look at one with the line, if you follow that line, if you can't fit 4 eyeballs, the size they are on the fish right now, if you can't fit 4 of them from the top to the bottom, your fish is ruined. You've stunted him, and it may even die if it's small like this when it happens. So yeah. So, but yeah, Big Red's the oldest one, okay? And then the snake skins and Big Bertha are actually related. Sometimes parents will throw out 2 patterns. These fish were born to snakeskin parents that look just like this guy. But every now and then, you know, the babies came out a bunch of 16-bar snakeskins and a few 8-bar Turks. That's how that works. Discus can throw different. Just because you have 2 that look a certain way, they could throw a few babies that look completely different. So that's an example of that. So they're my second oldest fish, and they're younger than Big Red by at least 4 to 5 months. So you can start to see now the fish need to be older than 15 months to successfully breed. So you just give me some, because I was trying to breed earlier. Some people would have seen those videos in the past. I was like, yay, my fish are laying eggs, but I didn't know what I was doing. And more experienced fish discus keeper
told me I'm wasting my time before 15 months. And even at 15 months, I might have to wait a little longer depending on the fish. So he's never seen it before 15 months. So I completely stopped trying to throw them in breeding tanks because they're better off in their shoal, and they're better off to continue growing happily and undisturbed. So we will be, although I have 2 egg-laying females, I will not put them in breeding tanks until fall, early winter is where I'm thinking right now. So as you can see, this water is 6 days old. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chats right now. I'll have a look in a minute. This water is 6 days old. I never, in the life of this tank, have let water run for 6 days. So, but it's happening for a couple reasons. One reason, I increased my water changes to like 100 gallons at a time. I used to do 60 gallons at a time. So that's giving me more longevity there. And 5 fish are now out of this tank in the downstairs environment. So that's reduced my bio load. But I don't think reducing the bio load's the big deal. I think it's the 100 gallons. Now we're going to do one of those 100 gallon water changes today. I do not need to clean filtration. I do filtration and gravel once a week as well. But that's not today. Those are in good shape, and they don't need to be done for another three or so days. So I got the equipment ready, and I'm gonna put the camera down pointing at the tank so you can all see everything. That should be good right here. We have a peek. There you go. You get to see the barrels, you get to see the tank, and that should be pretty good. Okie. Actually, that's looking nice. This is a different phone than I usually use to film, and I stopped using it because it's a Huawei P30 Pro. I went and bought the thing brand new for like $1,300, and then the government locked Huawei out of the North American market, and they said they were spy stuff, so I switched phones. So I went and bought a Samsung Fold. But the camera in this phone is phenomenal. It's a Lexia brand lenses and camera. It's some kind of high-end German thing. But yeah, really, I might start using this to film from now on. Enough's enough. Let's get the tank open here. First thing I like to always do is take a look at where my salt level is, and so yeah, no. Now, considering 6 days, I probably only lost about 4 inches of water in 6 days. So it's not too bad considering how hot it's been. We've been in heat wave warnings now for, I think it's 4 days, but it's not a bad heat wave at all. It's like it hasn't been overheating my tank, and yeah, it really hasn't been that bad. So step number 1, as always, for any water change in any tank, you disable your equipment, and that would be your filters. If you have a canister filter, you wouldn't have to disable it. But if you're running hang-on backs, you gotta shut these. So and I do. So I shut off my hang-on backs, and shut off my UVs, and I shut off my heaters. My heaters are all in one button. Boom, they're off. You can see my heater control my heater controller's off. I don't know if you can see that from that angle. Well, I'm just trusting it's off. And then I'm going to unplug filtration. I keep half the plugs on one side of the tank for filtration, and half of them on the other side of the tank. It helps reduce confusion when you really have a million plugs. There we go. And because I'm down on sump water a few inches, I won't
won't start the drain right away. I'm gonna give this about 2 minutes, and that should gain me a few inches in the sump because it's gonna drain down. We'll get a small space here up top, and when I see that on, it'll be ready to start. So we're gonna set the drain hose now. Fish know something's up if their flow stopped. They also know they get yummy treats when this finishes. So I find that that helps. Like, they're smart and they know they get used to routines. Like they know when it's bedtime, they start tucking themselves in before the lights change. And then they know that when I finish this, they're getting a treat. Another reason I really like these fish, because they're not like goldfish or tetras, you know, the smaller species of fish. So they're all just instinct based. They don't have personalities. They don't have social orders. They school, for example, instead of shoal, because schooling is a purely instinctive behavior. Save them from predators, and shoaling is it's a social behavior. More intelligent fish will shoal, and instinctive dumb fish will school. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong. I think shoaling has something to do with them being smarter and being more social, like actually social. They have a pecking order. They have a family structure. There's a tank boss or a shoal boss, and there's dominant fish and subordinate fish. You know, a society in a way. And then schooling fish, they're just acting on instinct. There's no plan. And of course my hose is leaking a little bit. That's fine. Let's put the towels or floor. And let's get you up in the tank. Yeah, that's right, guys. They're coming down. Nice and slow. Don't want to scare anyone. It's your old friend, the water change thing. Yes, I shouldn't do that because there's water in this hose, and I could have started the siphon by accident. See that bubble there? That could have started my siphon. If I walked out of the room, I could have just started leaking on the floor. I see a couple people watching. Thanks for that. Even if you're just running it to help me with my hours, greatly appreciated. One thing I do when I'm helping people with watch hours and stuff like that is I guess the way you put it should be important. I'll watch your videos or your live streams on my computer, and that's one device in my house, right? And if I wanted to watch multiple live streams at the same time, and I try to do it on one computer, it doesn't work out. You won't credit each one of them. So if I want to watch, person A's live stream and person B happens to be on at the same time, what I do is I put one up on my computer, and then I put the other one up on my television, my smart TV. And because it's coming in from two completely different devices like that, even though you got the same IP, YouTube will clock both sessions, and both people will get credit. But if you open up multiple screens on the same PC, only the last screen you touch is getting credit. So keep that in mind if you're, helping out with multiple people, or you know, it's always helpful to get the TV going as well. Say with one of your family members, get them to throw their TV up with the channel up, and that will also help clock you or your friends some hours that actually get logged. So here we go. I've waited long enough for this sump to and now the sump's just as full as I like it to be, so I won't have to do any fill down there, which is good. Didn't have a lot of evaporation. And it's time to engage. As Jean-Luc Picard would say, engage. Now this sump, and let me make sure it's dialed up. And get that sorted over there. Yeah, it's maxed out right now. I move this over and I lost my little kink stopping thing. This is probably the worst hose to use for this. I don't recommend these green plastic hoses. They're garbage. But I had a brand new one in my basement. Sat there for about 7 years, and it's still coiled up in the wrapper. So I used it because I had it, and it saved me some money. I don't expect it's going to last long term, but probably got about 8 months on it right now, and it's holding up. Yeah, while this is happening, I'm just going to let myself a little something over here on the side. This channel is rated not for children, and my cell phone battery is about to die, so let's go plug that in at the same time. Okily dokily. Yeah, it's real early in the morning, and probably a silly time, early morning. Well, I normally do my water changes at 6 or 7 a.m. I waited a little bit and then did this just to make live stream. But yeah, 9:30 in the morning on Monday is not really a live stream time. I get it. It'll pop up as a video after though, and for the couple people who are watching, thank you very much. This will be a short stream anyway because it really doesn't take terribly long to get through this. Just a quick water freshen session. Good news is the barrels downstairs are so far impressing me, and I've got little to nothing in them for biomedia. I think I'm going to order some pot scrubbies today. I've got to repair my e-bike though, so that's essential. And I wore through a tire. It got too thin, and then of course my tube's got a hole in it now, so I got to patch tube, buy a tire, repair that. That's not going to be cheap. but I need it because that's how I get around in the summer. Essentially free transportation, and I live in the middle of the city. Um, so having a car around here is almost it is. It's a pain in the ass. You get fined all the time and everything else. And well, I don't drive anymore anyway, so uh, no one can stop me from riding an electric bicycle. There's no law. The only person I can hurt's myself. And well, typically, I mean, but yeah, and I get around now at 30 kilometers an hour, and you know what? Uh, don't knock it till you try it, because I pretty much get almost everywhere as fast as a car will. You know, uh, as long as the car is not using the highway, right? Like, I'm not going to compete with 100 kilometers an hour, but I will get somewhere at roughly the same time a car would, because they're doing an average of 60, and they're hitting red lights every 35, 40 seconds. Like literally, go, drive for close to a minute, another red light. We all know how it is. So I don't get slowed down by those red lights. I make up the time, and I get there at roughly the same time. Um, Even while the cars are being held up by the red light, I catch up to them. The light turns green. I don't even stop. That happens so often, it's not even funny. And you can see the drivers get frustrated because, like, they're sitting in the car, and I keep getting ahead of them. And they realize they're really not getting anywhere fast. Or they're pissed off because I keep getting in front of them and they don't want to have to keep passing me. I don't know. That annoying bicycle guy that you got to keep passing. That's me. You do what you got to do. And you know what? While we're at it, some easy home snail reduction. I do always inspect them because I do have assassin snails. I don't worry about the little cone snails because they're a pain in the ass to grab with my big fingers, but I'll grab the big ones because they're the ones that lay the eggs. And that leaves the little ones for the assassin snails to pick off, and there's probably a couple thousand in there still, so if I see a concentration of them, I will go in with my with a piece of tubing, and I'll siphon them out off the glass. And I've been pretty active at it now this week. So I've got their numbers down considerably. But these cone snails are something else, let me tell you. They breed like I've never seen. Well, the ram's horn snails are probably close to as bad, but these things breed faster. And they outcompete the ram's horns by far. As this population is dropping off, I thought the ram's horns were gone, but they're not. I'm starting to see a couple just here and there. So, snails. Tried the cucumber thing. They don't like it. Maybe I bought the wrong cucumber. It was an English one. I'll try the other kind next. As you can see, they're pretty comfortable with their water changes now. They used to all just hide in the corner for the longest time, but then they're swimming around now. They know them; they're not going to die. They get a little more panicky when their fins start touching the top and the bottom, though. And I'm going to bring this right down because I have 110 gallons of available pre-treated water in these barrels. Pre-treated, preheated, ready to go water. So I'm going to put 100 gallons of the barrel in, and I'm going to drop some prime in it anyway, just to be safe. I never skimp on the prime. So I'll put 2 capsules or capfuls of prime in there while the fill's going. That would actually be enough to handle this tank on a tap fill. according to the instructions. But I live in a chloramine city, and there's other problems with my tap water. So my biggest problem with discus keeping has been my dealing with my city tap water. That's my biggest problem. It's not the fish, it's not the equipment, nothing. It's the quality of my water. If you were somebody that was scared to keep these fish and you got well water, go for it, because it's going to be so easy for you. It's going to be so easy if you have well water. Even breeding is going to be easy. But if you got to deal with chloramine and chemicals and garbage, like I do, it makes this a lot harder. That's why it's the city tap water that's actually forcing me into doing water changes more often than I would have to do it if I had well water. So if you're on well water and you want discus, and don't worry about your pH being 8 point something, because mine comes out of the tap at 8 point off the charts. Like I don't even, it maxes out my test kit. So my water's stupid hard, and as long as your pH is the same all the time, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be 6. That's nonsense. They'll even breed in 8. I don't know if the eggs will lay in 8, will hatch in 8 though. Therein lies the problem. You might not get eggs to hatch in 8. They'll probably all die. That's what I was thinking initially my problem was, but it's actually my fish were immature. So I put in a bunch of forced block filters. It's not ROI or RO or whatever they call it, because RO is very expensive on the water bill, and I'm not going to play that game. So I'm using forced filters where it just forces it through a block, and they don't do, RO removes everything. These things remove between 95 and 98% of the impurities. So after I run it through there, my 8 point off the charts water comes down to about a 6.7 to 7.2, and then after I get that in the tank, it'll drop down into 6.4, 6.5, which is the optimum range for discus eggs. So that's how I got around that problem. So if you do have hard water and it's a concern for you, ask me for links. I'll give them to you to these low cost. They attach to the garden hose, so you don't have to pipe them in to your tap or get a plumber or any of that. You can just link this shit into your garden hose chain, and they're designed for use with RVs. So to purify, campsite well waters aren't always the best. So to make your campsite water potable, they sell these units, and they're really cost effective, because if you buy them under the guise of using it for an aquarium, they're going to charge you 4, 5, 6 times the price. When you buy them out of the RV market, they're really, really cheap, like stupid cheap. So something fancy is only $100, and then if you want just basic, you can get like 2 for $20. So, oh yeah, okay, we've pulled that, and I gotta drain this hose. Hose drained. Always dry off the outside of the hose real good. Sure after that. Oops, sorry buddy, scared him. I'm just gonna make sure this brace loosens up a little bit. Make sure I don't move it while it's filling. If you're wondering what this is, my crossbar broke, so I made a wooden brace out of 2x4s, and then I also custom made myself a lid so I can hide that ugliness, and that saved my tank, because it would have exploded otherwise. Hose is there. Now I gotta unplug the heaters in the barrels. Heater barrels are disconnected. Today we're going to start with the faraway barrel because that one didn't get empty last time. Had more water left over. I'm going to rotate them back and forth. Keep things as fresh as possible. Always give them a sniff test and always check the temperature. Everything seems good. Let's just do a little match up here. Yeah, we're good. I mean, I already know they're matched, but sometimes heaters fail, so it's always good to at least give it a little hand temperature check to ensure you don't have a cold barrel. Everything's in place. Sump is sitting on the bottom of the barrel, and we are going to start pumping. This won't take terribly long either. It's ever so slightly slower than the drain because it's going a little bit uphill, but it's not that bad. This 830 gallon sump pump I'm using, it's rated for pump 10 feet up in the air, so I could run my hose 10 feet up a wall and probably more, and the water will still get up there no problem. Here goes my prime. This dose makes my overall prime dose a double dose on this batch of water. This dose is the recommended dose for a tap fill that I just added. The other reason I added it is because if there's something in my prime detoxifies heavy metals and a lot of stuff, deals with calcium, but the detoxification effect will only last 48 hours. So if you're noticing problems 48 hours after a water change and you're doing water changes every 48 hours because you're having problems, there's something toxic in your system, maybe something bad in your tap water, and you know, that's when you want to consider deploying some type of tap filtration if you're seeing that kind of thing, which I did see that kind of stuff because I have horrible city tap water. Tastes nice when you drink it, looks clean when you look at it, and but the chemicals they use to get it that way, absolutely horrible for fish. Hence the reason why everybody in my city is willing to just give me for free their large tanks, because they want to get them out of their house. No one wants to buy them, and everybody's quitting fish keeping over here because things have gotten so bad with the water situation, killing their fish. Fish die, they don't understand why, they think they're doing everything right. Spring comes, they do their springtime flush / shock the system. Everybody's fish die, and then they do it again in the fall and they don't warn us. So yeah, it's very easy to get huge tanks for free in my city. I haven't paid for a single aquarium in my house, not one. I'm not a rich guy. Probably looks like it because I got so many tanks, but I'm not rich at all. I'm a very frugal individual, and I live on a fixed amount of money every month. I have a budget. I can only spend so much. You know, I'm not poor. I'm not like somebody on welfare. I don't have that kind of problem, but I still got to be careful in this inflationary environment. I really have to, can't spend like I used to. Inflation took my money away. We're doing good here on the fill. I'm happy to see the fish have gotten this comfortable with age. Age and experience, the water changes are not traumatizing them anymore, and that's it's always nice to see. Of course, once I get, if I lake the barrel system in up here, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to do that because of my city tap water, to be honest. It's nice to have a reservoir in case something goes wrong. And so I'll tap fill the barrels linked system downstairs, and say I have an emergency down there one day, and I can run fish up here, and at least keep them alive, and still have 110 gallons of good water in the barrels to wait out the chemicals. You gotta, when they do it, I basically can't touch my tap water for 3 days, and by then it gets flushed out. So, and I've learned this through trial and error and observation and losing fish to the chemicals that they put in the water. So all this barrel stuff is me adapting to my problem in that regard. I should check the chat. Don't think I. Oh, hello. How you doing? Aquarium Secret. So type hi in case for some reason you can't hear me. Hello, Red Laser. Awesome, in the car. Yeah, I'm just, just getting the water change. We've already drained it and we're half full. So, but thank you so much for coming and watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. I don't even know why I said that, but everybody says it. So, and I hope if you can't hear me, just let me know. I think the mic should be getting me okay. But let's check this barrel. Let's go have a look. I'll show you. And it doesn't, oh, okay, yeah, you can sort of see where the water line is down there. I would say it's about half empty right now. No, further than half. Probably 3/4 empty right now. And make sure we got a good view. See, these barrels are actually 55 gallons up to this line here, and I fill them up to the top, so I'm not even sure how much water I hold. I say 110 gallons between the two barrels, but it's actually more. They're sold as 55-gallon barrels, that's why I say 110. But I'm also overfilling them. They also sell 80-gallon barrels. I just couldn't find any. These are rainwater barrels to collect rainwater off the runoff from your house. And I've repurposed them to do this. Same with downstairs. And it's really the cheapest way I could find to hold a large volume of water when it comes to buying a container. You should look around for containers that hold large volumes of water, and it's amazing how expensive they are. You can almost buy an aquarium sometimes for the price. And considering I got my aquariums for free, I've paid more for my barrels than I have for all my tanks, excluding filtration and the, I bought filters, I bought plants, I bought fish, you know, and decor. I just didn't buy tanks and stands. I think this one's gotta be about empty. Yeah, it's getting there. So we're just gonna pull this sucker up. But if I unplug it, it'll back siphon. It's okay if it spins dry for a few seconds. And now it's back in business. And the fill continues. So I can re-engage my heaters now because I'm above the heater line. I can even start to re-engage UVs because I'm above the UV lines. So we're going to turn on this UV. Make sure it kicks in. Sometimes the dollar jams, so you gotta watch these things. Kick this one in too. Oh no, he's not low enough. Turn him off. Water's not high enough for that one. Now my only concern, I guess, right now is that barrel on the right, the water in there is technically rested longer than I've ever let any other water rest, but I would assume letting water rest for a longer period of time would be a good thing and not a bad thing. But who knows if it's a bad thing. I could be making a mistake right now. You know, every time something new happens, you gotta wonder about it. I doubt I'm making a mistake though. If anything, it's just got more bacteria in the water and it'll be beneficial, so. My bubbler might get loud soon, I'll have to turn it down. Still haven't lit my smoke. I'm gonna do that. Check for questions. Okay, cool. We're high enough now for the second UV. Kick that in. And get that water circulate. So temperature's for sure even everywhere. I want to always make sure. And I'm at 49, 84.9 out of 85 out of the barrels. Like I got it exact. if I had a well, I would never have to do this barrel stuff. Run into a problem, you adapt, and you overcome. Or you give up and give away your fish tank for free to some guy like me. I'm cool with that too. If you live in Ottawa and you got a big tank, you don't want it, just drop me a message. I can take 4-footers, 6-footers. Just let me know. I'll get them out of your house because they're taking up so much space. And I know how frustrating that is. Willing to help you out, show up with a truck and everything. And it'll go to a good cause. I'm just helping some old dude build himself a home-based business because they told me I can't work anymore, and I want to prove them wrong. I can do stuff. I just have to do things differently now, and I will. And I'm gonna make it work. 'Cause that's what you do in life. You learn how to dance in the rain. Even if it kills you. So, re-engaged. Hang on, now it's re-engaged. All impellers are running. Tank already looks beautifully crystal clear because it was pre-treated and preheated water. Fish haven't missed a beat. And there goes my bubbles. I have to turn them down because the barrels are empty. Makes the bubbler loud. So we're going to give them a treat right now. I will broadcast feed a blood worm cube. And I do this because I'm actually going to add a shrimp too. And I do this because the little ones, they won't get what they need otherwise. If I drop the cubes in, big fish will just eat them all and the little guys will get nothing. So what I do is I just take my hand in, I hold the cubes in the water and I just shake my hand back and forth. I don't crush the cubes because it'll ruin the bloodworms. You just stop the big guys from dominating it by caging it in your hand. Just shake your hand back and forth. This water's so warm, it does not take long. It just melt on its own. Again, not crushing the cubes because you'll wreck the food. It's just loosely in my hand and I'm shaking it back and forth. If you try to make it go faster and you crush it with your hands, and you'll look at the bloodworms, they'll all turn white because you'll squeeze the meat out of them and you're just wasting the bloodworms. Probably the same thing happens to the shrimp, just not as obvious. And then you'll be like, I fed my fish, but he's starving. I don't get it. He was just eating empty bloodworms. Bring you up close for a closer look. This is always the fun part. You can see yellow guy only eats when something lands. He's a weirdo, and it's he should be bigger by now, but he's just got eating habits that slowing him down. He eats a little bit of everything, but As you can see, this white guy was smaller than him when he arrived, and now they're already the same size. The white guy might even be bigger. And I've treated the hell out of him with, he's clean. He's just, sometimes they're finicky and they have an attitude. You don't always get good eaters. The rest of my fish are all excellent eaters. This guy showed up after him and was smaller. He's huge now, and he's only been here, I think, not even 2 months. Look at the size of him. Between this fish and this guy back in the corner, who's only a month older than him, look at how fast they grew. They're just a couple months in my tank, and all my previous fish never grew this fast. It just tells me I'm dialed in now. I pick a healthy fish, and it's going to be, you know, huge in just a few months, like these guys. Look how small his eye to body size ratio. Count how many eyes you can fit on this guy, because he's growing properly. From a quality perspective, a growth quality perspective, he might end up being one of my best fish. Same with with this guy back there. Because I screwed up with these guys. Well, they're prone to illness, and that slows them down, so they're going to have bigger eyes. They're not wrecked. I haven't destroyed them, but the more eyes you can fit on that vertical stripe, the bigger your fish will be when it finishes growing. And that'll make the difference between, you know, a 4 or 5 inch fish versus a 9 to 12 inch fish. And this is why we want to do our water changes so often, keep everything so clean, and keep our filters clean, because these fish only have 15 months to reach that maximum potential. And if you slack off in that first 15 months, if you bought babies, that is, you're gonna have 4-inch discus in your tank for 15 years. Stunted, pathetic looking, small discus. So you got to give them 15 months, and if you do it right, they'll give you 15 years. And they'll be huge and beautiful and properly shaped. So if these were any other cichlid, I'd change my water every 2.5 weeks. But because I'm growing them. And I mean, even other cichlids. If you're growing other cichlids, you got babies, you got fry in a tank, guess what? You're changing your water every 3 days. These fish are still babies. They're, well, my oldest one are adolescents, but babies, you know, babies. So even though they look big, they're still babies right now. They're going to be bigger. Significantly bigger. Wow, I really got to start using this camera. That looks amazing. Okay, guys. Water change complete. We're good for another few days on the 90. And downstairs is looking good. So we'll catch you on the next one. I thank you so much. Oops, dropped my joint. I thank you so much for stopping by. And let's go see what we got going on here. Yeah, so thanks again. We'll see you soon.